Flashback to when you were a child. Your clothes all messed up and your hair all wild. To when your stuffed animal was your best friend. To when life was easier, simpler. There were no regrets or fears. Well, some fears, such as the monsters in the closet and under the bed. But nothing could hurt you. You were fearless. Fearless because you were the hero of your own story. But even heroes need someone to save them. So as time progressed, you learned that some things are not what they seem. Some things aren't exactly what you dreamed or what you thought they would be. Your hope and faith in superheroes suddenly isn't as strong as it once was. I mean, how can you believe in Superman if the place you learn and make your plans can't even lend a helping hand to your education? Or your education, where you spend most of your time skilling your concentrations, motivation, and imagination station of your 5-year-old mind. And it's sad to say some kids don't make it in time to see their future blossom with an acceptance letter from a school, and maybe the problem is us. Well, good job, America. Land of the free, home of the brave, no child left behind. Well, how funny it is. That's what seems to happen time and time again. In 2010, the documentary Waiting for Superman was released in hopes to give insight into the side of education our amazing country has chosen to keep hidden. Despite increased spending, broken promises, our public education system, once the best in the world, continually abandons the education of millions of these children. And right now, there's a kid finishing dinner in a heated discussion with his mother saying, "Why do I have to study subjects I will never use again in my life?" And she'll look at him blank-eyed, stifle a sigh, think for a second, and then lie. She'll say something along the lines of, "You know, to get a good job, you need a good degree, and these subjects will help you get a good degree, and we never had this opportunity when I was younger." And he will reply, "But you were young a long time ago, weren't you, Mom?" And she won't respond, although what he implies makes perfect sense because society's needs would have changed from the time she was 16. But she will ignore him, grip his hand more sternly, then drag him to the car. What she doesn't know is that she didn't ignore him just to shut him up. She didn't lie because they were just returning him from a parents' evening and an argument in the hallway would have looked bad on her resume. She won't lie because she had just spent the last 1 hour convincing a stern-faced teacher that she will ensure that her child studies more at home. No, she will lie simply because she does not know any better herself. Although all her adult life she has never used or applied Pythagoras' theorem, pathetic fallacy, and still does not know the value of x. She will rely on society to tell her child, who has one of the sharpest minds in the school, is hyperactive, unfocused, easily distracted, and wayward. Students, how many equations, subjects, and dates have you memorized just before an exam, never to use it again? How many A grades did you get which were never asked for when you applied for your job? How many times have you remembered something 5 minutes just after the teacher said, "Stop writing," only to receive your results 1 month later to realize that you were only 1 mark short of the top grade? Does that mean remembering 5 minutes earlier would have made you more qualified? Well, I guess on a job application it would. But we're all different, with different abilities, different thought processes, experiences, and genes. So why is a class full of individuals tested by the same means? Does that mean Sherelle thinks she's dumb because she couldn't do a couple of sums? And if this issue is not addressed properly, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then out of the blue, automatically every school has the audacity to have a policy on equality. The irony. Exams are society's methods of telling you what you're worth, but you can't let society tell you what you are, because this is the same society that tells you that abortion is wrong, but then turns around and looks down on teenage parents. The same society that sells products to promote natural hair, looks, smooth complexion with a model on the box, half photoshopped, and has fake lashes and hair extensions. Parents say they want educated kids. They constantly marvel at how rich Richard Branson is. Governments that preach peace but endorse wars. That say they believe so much in the importance of higher education and further learning, but why increase tuition fees every year? The irony. Test us with tests, but the finals are never final because they never prepare us for the biggest test, which is survival. And what I suggest is fairly outlandish, so I don't expect all of you to understand, except for the kid that knows what it feels like to be worth no more than that D or that A that you received on that test today. The ones whose best stories were never good enough for your English teacher because apparently you missed out on key literary terms and techniques. You did not follow the class plan and the language was too informal for you to understand. But then the teacher would reference Hamlet and Macbeth, and you'd fight the urge to express your contempt by partially clenching your fist with only your medius finger on your left protruding in the middle of your hand, and then asked if he was aware that Shakespeare was known as the innovator of slang. Or the kid in the back of the class who thinks, why am I studying something that doesn't fuel my drive? But when confronting with math problems, his eyes come alive. So this one is for my generation. The ones that found what they were looking for on Google. The ones who followed their dreams on Twitter, pictured their future on Instagram, and accepted destiny on Facebook. This one is for my generation. This one's for my failures and my dropouts, for my unemployed graduates, my shop assistants, cleaners, and cashiers with bigger dreams, my self-employed entrepreneurs, and my world changers, and my dream chasers. Because the purpose of this was not to initiate worldwide debate, but to let them know that whether a 72 or an 88, a 44 or a 68, we will not let an exam result decide our fate. So back to the children of the U.S. What will their future have in store? Because think about it. If you can't be their Superman, how do you expect them to want more?
In the documentary Waiting for Superman, 2010, the director Davis Guggenheim makes the argument that although no child should be left behind in education, the system is drastically flawed, which in return is failing the children of our country. In order to craft his argument, he uses the following: anecdote, metaphor, and statistics. The creators of this documentary hope that the audience could see how truly corrupted the education system is, and that we can make a difference in the way that these individuals are taught. He creates an accusatory and didactic tone intended for everyone who has the power to make a difference.
In the documentary Waiting for Superman, Davis Guggenheimer uses 3 tools. One of those tools is anecdote, when he tells us about the story of 5 kids and how their lives would change either for the better or for the worst, by raffling off their future. He also uses a metaphor, telling us about the lemon dance and how each teacher cannot be fired because they have a tenure. Therefore, if they get kicked out of one school, they must be hired at another. making that school just as bad as the first. He also uses statistics when he was saying about that 67% of prison inmates are the ones who dropped out of school and did not finish their education. Education is vital to an individual's mind, especially in the ones developing. Schools and their faculty, rather than allowing the mind to flourish, are creating a barrier of the mind. Therefore, students' performances in class are declining.